Hey guys, welcome to an hour of code with HOPSCOTCH. During the next hour, you're going to learn how to code and build an awesome game on your iPad. But first, you might be wondering what coding actually is. A lot of people think that coding is mysterious and difficult, that it's a secret language that only geniuses can learn. But that's not really true. Everyone can learn to code, and everyone should. Because coding is everywhere. It makes the things you use work. Without it, you couldn't play your favorite video game or even use your favorite app. Coding is basically just telling a computer what to do. It's a part of the subject called computer science. Computer science is all about translating your ideas into instructions that a computer can follow. Have you ever wondered how your favorite video game was built? Well, learning computer science is about that process, taking an idea and making it a reality. When you are done with this lesson, you'll be ready to start building your own video games and apps, and you'll see that it's really fun and very addicting. First, you'll need to download HOPSCOTCH onto your iPad. Ask an adult to help you get HOPSCOTCH from the App Store. HOPSCOTCH is actually a programming language, or a kind of code. It allows you to tell the iPad what to do. Soon, you'll be a master at bossing your iPad around and getting it to do exactly what you want. Let's open up HOPSCOTCH. The first thing you need to do when you open up HOPSCOTCH is to select a character. I'm going to select the monkey. She seems pretty cool. After you open HOPSCOTCH for the first time, it'll walk you through a tutorial to show you how HOPSCOTCH works. We stated earlier that coding is about giving computers instructions, and that's exactly what we're going to do. The move block on the left side is an instruction to tell the monkey to move. All instructions in HOPSCOTCH are blocks. When you put these blocks together, they create programs, or games, or apps. Let's drag the move block to where it says drag block here. Awesome. Now you're ready to hit play and see what your instructions make the computer do. As you can see, the monkey just moved because that's all we told it to do. Let's do something a little more interesting. Let's try using a rotate block. The rotate block changes the direction your object is facing. So let's add our rotate block to the top and change the direction the monkey is facing by 45 degrees. So this is kind of cool. We changed the direction that the monkey was facing, and then the monkey moved in that direction, because that's exactly what we told it to do. We told it to rotate and then move. Let's try changing the order of our blocks and then see what happens. I'm going to take that rotate block and drag it underneath the move block. And as you may have guessed, the monkey still follows the exact directions. It moves, and then it rotates. So you can see that the direction the monkey is facing influences the direction that it moves. You can also see that the order matters. Changing the order of the blocks affected the way the monkey moved. There are many different kinds of blocks in HOPSCOTCH. The orange blocks are all about movement. The green blocks are all about appearance, how big or small your character is, what your character looks like. Let's try using some blocks from the appearance panel. First, move the rotate block back to the top of the program. Then let's add the scale by block to the bottom of the program. Let's use 200 as the amount we want to scale by. This will make the monkey look twice as big. Now let's add the set opacity block to the bottom of the program. Opacity just means how see-through something is. Let's set it to 50%. This means that it's going to be about halfway between completely visible and completely invisible. Take a guess at what you think is going to happen, and the order that it's going to happen in. Once you have your guess, hit play. And look at that, our monkey's doing exactly what we told it to do. First it rotates, then it moves, then it scales, and then it goes halfway invisible. Well, now you know a lot more about coding than you did just a couple minutes ago. So take 5 minutes to put some blocks down, experiment, see if you can make anything funny happen. All right, let's get back to business. Go ahead and look at the drawing panel. In the drawing panel, there's a funny looking block called Leave a Trail. Let's try and use this block. When you place it down, you'll notice that it says, drag blocks here. To use the Leave a Trail block, you have to put other blocks inside of it. So let's give that a try. First, let's remove all the green blocks by dragging them to the left side. Then, let's put our orange blocks inside the Leave a Trail block. Now let's hit play. You'll notice that our monkey does exactly what it did before, but this time it's leaving a trail. Any blocks you put inside the Leave a Trail block will leave a trail behind the object. This also means that any blocks not inside the Leave a Trail block won't leave a trail. Let's add a move block before and after the Leave a Trail block. I'm going to make the values 150. As you can see, the monkey only leaves a trail for the parts it's told to leave a trail for. Don't believe me? Let's try putting those move blocks inside the Leave a Trail block. So now we have 4 blocks inside our Leave a Trail block. Let's hit play again. Now you can see it's making a much longer trail. And that's because we have more move blocks inside the Leave a Trail block. Okay, let's try something different. Let's write a program to draw a square. Here's the thing about squares. They have 4 sides, and all of them are equal. And every corner is exactly 90 degrees. Imagine that everywhere you went, you left a trail right behind you on the floor. Now also imagine that you don't know what a square is, but you do know how to move, and you also know how to turn. What instructions would a friend have to give you in order for you to draw a square? The first thing you'd want to do is just draw a line. So your friend would probably tell you to move. So let's do that with the monkey. Then she would probably ask you to turn to create the corner. Remember, it's a 90-degree angle. So let's do that with the monkey. She would probably ask you to move forward again to create another line, and then ask you to turn again. So let's repeat those commands. Let's take a look at what we have so far. Yeah, that's starting to look like a square, but only half of a square. So let's repeat those steps again 2 more times. All right, let's have a look. Yeah, I think that does look a lot like a square, but it's not drawing anything. So we'll use a Leave a Trail block, and we'll put all of those commands inside the Leave a Trail block. All right, let's hit play. And look at that. Our monkey starts following the commands and leaving a trail. And it looks just like a square. Good work. But you know what? This square is a little bit boring. Let's give it some color. Before we start leaving a trail, let's set the line color by using the Set Line Color block. Add this block to the top of your code, and then pick a color that you like. I really like green, so I'm going to pick green. Also, this line is a little thin. I'm going to make it thicker by setting the line width using the Set Line Width block, and I'm going to set it to 8. You can use whatever color or width you like. Do a little experimentation, see what effects you can get. Now, if you go back and look at the code, you might notice that our code is actually very repetitive. We asked the monkey to move by the same amount and then turn by the same amount 4 times in a row. What if we wanted to draw an octagon or an icosagon, a 20-sided polygon. We would need to write so much code. You would probably have to sit down and write code all day long in order to do that. But fortunately, there's a way to repeat a section of code in Hopscotch. It's called a loop. Let's delete all the code that we currently have by dragging it over to the left. Let's open up the blue panel called the control flow and grab that repeat block. You can see that it looks a little bit like the leave a trail block because you put other blocks inside of it. Let's put a rotate block inside of this loop. Let's set the rotation to 360 degrees. That's a full circle. This repeat block has been asked to repeat 5 times. You can change that amount, but let's leave it at 5 for now and hit play. As you can see, our monkey spins in a circle 5 times. She's probably pretty dizzy. Let's also add a move block into our repeat block. Now, instead of spinning 5 times in a row, the monkey will move, and then spin, and then move, and then spin, etc., etc., until the monkey does this 5 times. It almost looks like our monkey is doing cartwheels. Looping is a great way to create animations as well. Now we'll create another loop, we'll add a move command, and then we'll use the command in the appearance panel called change costume. Let's make the move distance a little smaller. I'm going to set it to 30. Now if we hit play, it looks like the monkey is walking. But it doesn't move very far. So let's repeat this 50 times. Now every time our monkey moves, it also changes costumes, which makes it look like it's walking. Wow, you've learned so much so far. You've learned that programming is really just telling a computer what to do. You know that the order of your instructions matter, and you know that you can use loops to do repetition, and that it also saves you a lot of time. Let's put this all together by drawing a square again, but this time, let's use loops. This is the code that we use to draw a square. Take a good look at it, and see if you remember how it works. See how we repeat the move and rotate blocks 4 times? We can use loops instead of having to repeat those blocks. Let's get rid of all of those excess commands by using a repeat block. First, put the repeat block inside the leave a trail block, because we still want to leave a trail. Then we need to determine how many times we want to repeat. In this case, there are 4 sides and 4 corners, so we need to repeat 4 times. Finally, we need to decide what to repeat. We know that we need to repeat once for every side, and that's moving, so we'll repeat the move block. And we know that we need to repeat the rotate block in order to make the corners. So we'll be repeating the move block followed by the rotate block. From there, we can get rid of all of the other commands because we don't need them anymore. So go ahead and move them to the side. If you hit play, you'll see that our square looks exactly the same as it did last time, but this time we used a lot less code to make it work. And this time, if we want to change the size, we only have to edit 1 block, the move block, whereas before we had to change all 4 move blocks. That's pretty cool. Let's try something different. Open the drawing panel and add set line color inside the loop. This means that every time the loop runs, every time it repeats, it will set the line color to gray. But we can make it do something pretty cool. Open up the math panel, select the random block, and instead of setting the line color to gray, let's set the line color to random. What do you guess is going to happen? Go ahead and hit play to find out. Ooh, that's interesting. All the lines are changing colors. Let's run it again to see if anything changes. Yup, this time we get a slightly different result. So what is actually happening here? Every time the loop runs, it picks a new color, and then the monkey moves and turns 90 degrees. But then it picks another new color, which will change the line the next time the monkey moves. And that's why we're getting a new color every time. If we put the set line color above the loop block, it wouldn't change every time because we only ask it to set the color once. We can do the same thing with the set line width. Add the set line width to your loop and replace the number with random. I'm going to set the larger number here to be 20 because that's pretty thick. Let's run it again. Now we get even more interesting results because the line width changes. Let's run it again to see what happens. Pretty cool, right? Much more interesting than a regular square. Okay, so now we're all done with squares. You'll notice at the top of your program, there's a sentence that says, when play button is tapped, and that's where you've been dragging your blocks. This is called an event handler. An event handler says when to run your code. In this case, we've been running your code when the play button is tapped. But in HOPSCOTCH, there are lots of different times you can run your code. When you click this button, you'll see all the different kinds of event handlers that we have. One example is when the stage is tapped. The stage is basically the entire screen part of your iPad. You can also think of it as the background. In this case, it's entirely white. The when stage is tapped event handler will run the code you put there every single time you tap the stage. It doesn't matter how many times you tap it, it will keep running your code. In this case, every time you tap the stage, your monkey will move. Let's give it a try. You can have as many event handlers as you want. Let's add a new one by clicking the Start a New Script box. Another great event handler is the When iPad Detects Loud Noise event handler. It will be able to detect any loud noises that you make, including clapping. You might want to remember that for later. This time, I'm going to select the event handler when monkey is tapped, and I'm going to make the monkey spin 360 degrees every time she is tapped. I'm also going to make her grow by 10%. Look at that. Every time I tap the stage, the monkey moves. And every time I tap the monkey spins. That's exactly what we asked for. If you scroll up, you'll find a new area with a graph on it. This allows you to change the monkey's position at the beginning of the program. I'm going to move my monkey more towards the center. Now let's try again. Now the monkey starts in the center. When I tap the stage, she moves, and when I tap the monkey, she spins. I think we've got the hang of it. So let's start a new program. Go ahead and hit the menu button and select New. Once again, we have to pick an object to start with. I'm going to pick the cupcake because this program is called Clap for Cupcakes. Something you haven't learned yet is that you can have multiple objects on the stage at once. Hit the plus symbol to add a new object. Let's add the text object. It's the very last one. When you create a text object, HOPSCOTCH has to know what text you're going to display, so you have to give it some words. I'm going to use Clap for Cupcakes. You might notice that the cupcake object and the text object each have their own set of code, their own set of event handlers, etc. This is very important. You can think of each set of code as a brain for the object. You wouldn't want one brain controlling two people. And the same is true in HOPSCOTCH. We want each object to have its own code. I'm going to start by selecting the cupcake object and centering it on the screen. Then I'll select the text object and do the same. I kind of want it to look like a title, so I'm going to put it near the top. Let's add some code for our text object. When the play button is pressed, or when the program starts, I want it to spin 360 degrees, so I'm going to use a rotate block. Now I'm going to switch over to my Cupcake object, and when the play button is pressed, I'll have him move. So now when I hit play, my text should spin, and my cupcake should move. Oh, excellent, it worked. Each object has its own code, its own brain. Mwahaha, and we control both of them. So now it's time for your challenge. You're gonna write a program all by yourself, but I wanna show you how it works first, so you know where to start. It's called Clap for Cupcakes. When the play button is pressed, you can see both the cupcake and the text objects. However, the cupcake is really small. Both of the objects are centered, but the text object is closer to the top, like a title. Here's the fun part. When I clap my hands, the Clap for Cupcakes text goes away, and the cupcake gets a little bit bigger, as if it were walking towards me. The more I clap, the bigger it gets, and it continues to walk towards me. Let me give you some hints to get started. To make an object bigger or smaller, you have to use the scale by block. Giving the scale by block a value of 100 keeps the object the same size. Anything larger than 100 makes it a little bigger. Anything smaller than 100 makes it a little bit smaller. To make objects disappear, you have to use the set opacity block. Remember that an opacity of 0 makes something invisible. An opacity of 100 means that it's 100% there. You can't see through it at all. Start your program by thinking about what events happen. What happens when I press the play button? What happens when I clap? Okay, I think you're ready to go. If you have any trouble, just watch the video and it'll walk you through the solution. Okay, Master Coder, get to it. Did you get it? Let's walk through the solution together. I'm going to start by making a new program and selecting a cupcake, because that's one of our main characters. So go ahead and select the cupcake object and hit start. When the program starts, or when we hit play, we want the cupcake to be really small. So let's add some code to the when play button is tapped event that will make the cupcake really small when we start the program. To make something change size, we have to use the scale by block. And I'm going to make it scale by 10%, which means that'll be 10% the size it originally was, or 90% smaller. We also know that every time we clap, the cupcake gets bigger, and it changes costume to make it look like it's walking. Let's add a new script and use the event when iPad detects a loud noise, or a clap. Then let's use the scale by block again, except this time we're going to make it bigger, so we're going to use 110%, which means 10% bigger. And we also need to change the costume, so let's use the change costume block. Now every time you clap, the cupcake will scale by 110%, or get a little bigger, and then change costume. Let's see how it works. Wow, that looks pretty good, but we're missing the text at the top of the iPad. So let's add a new object. This time we'll add a text object, and we'll use the text clap for cupcakes. Once again, we have to center it on the screen. So I'm going to move it up to the top center of the graph. We know that once we clap for the first time, this text goes away, which probably means that we need to do something when we hear a clap. So let's use the when iPad detects loud noise event handler. Every time we hear a clap, we should become invisible. So we'll use the set opacity block and set the opacity to 0, which means invisible. Okay, let's run the program again. Wow, this looks great. You just created your first game on the iPad, and it looks pretty good, doesn't it? Soon you'll be selling games in the App Store. There's no limit to what you can create with HOPSCOTCH, so keep thinking big and dreaming big, and definitely don't stop coding. Thanks so much, and I hope you enjoyed your hour of code with HOPSCOTCH.